In Europe, we are kind of comparable to the Olympics, where the US are actually counting the medals, adding for the 50 states of the United States, and in Europe we are still counting country by country. So that's kind of a good resume or summary of the situations we have, where indeed the market is really fragmented. Maybe that's a good transition to your question, actually, because I'd say definitely we are monitoring not countries but markets. And for example, we can see more opportunities in retail in Spain than in other countries, logistic opportunities in Poland. So it's always a kind of a articulation of sector and country when we are trying to make allocations and investment decisions where we think the potential is better for that sector. But that's really about allocation. Overall, I'd say we are entering a period where anyway real estate buildings are more and more technical and technological, so to say, more and more interconnected. We're talking about smart buildings, but we're not there yet. To be fair, we're not yet in the smart cities either. We can have some good experiences with some areas which are working rather well, but it's only the beginning. And I think that those technology evolution with the evolution of the needs for clients, only 2 years ago we were probably all thinking that internet was actually biting the market share out of retail, and now we see indeed development of co-shopping opportunities where basically you do your research on the internet, you are well learned about what you want, and you finalize the shopping experience in the shopping centers. So it means different ways to manage properties, and that's where probably as well asset management is relevant, rather than really allocating to specific markets. I think the answer is very often in one product and one way to find the good ID for the product.
Yeah, retail is by far the most demanding because you need not only a whole lot of information on tenant level, but a retail operator also wants information about the visitors, analysis of sales numbers, etc. So it's a much more extended package. I would say office is still is very much straightforward, which is from our perspective the least advanced. And we see a lot of development now on the residential side. Both from market requirements that companies are looking for new systems, but also the requirements that they have for new systems, where it used to be if it can produce a lease and if we can collect the monthly rent, we're happy. If you also can book some cost and do a service charge recovery, we're happy. But there's a lot of development there as well, where much more is needed to have the area leased, for example, but also on the whole process, the leasing process itself, that there's a requirement to make that much more efficient.
If you compare logistics to retail to offices, you see it's completely different. Logistics is like an operational approach. Office is a multi-let thing. In many cases, you have retail with a less group of tenants. So you have to have completely different approaches, and the cut up to where you are rendering services, or from where on you are rendering service, is different. For instance, in retail, you're mostly focused on the only commercial side on the property. So the retail side is usually provided by other services, specialized services. In the office part, well, of course you're doing the whole scope of services, but there we see a lot of changes because the users' attitudes are changing, the mindset is changing, the requirements to flexibility and therefore to technology is changing, and this has to be kept up in the management approach you are delivering. So yes, it's different from asset class to asset class.
And this is a requirement from both coming at you from both sides. Is it both from the investment side, the ownership, the owner's side, and also the tenant side?
It's coming up mainly from the investor side, or from the asset managers representing the investor side. But we are closely weighed by how satisfied tenants are, and therefore it comes back from the other side as well. So it's not only the requirement of our asset manager, it's as well how do people feel and how satisfied they are with the services we are rendering in the property.
I think retail is the one to learn from. Yeah, because the retail sector, the center managers, they are the ones who have the very best understanding of their clients, and not only their tenants, but also their tenants' clients. Yeah? The analogy in office would be if the property and asset manager of an office building would track in their area how many movements have happened in the last 5 years, how long did people stay, where do they go for lunches, for dinners, and so on. This would be the analogy, and we are, light years from this.
I think I completely agree that we can learn a lot from retail, but as a matter of fact, also from the hotel segment. And we always think about what makes a building attractive and so on. And if you are in the hotel business, basically you want the experience of the client, ultimate client, which is you and me, to be satisfying. And I was about to say, one day we will have not the trip advisors, but the office advisors, where the tenants will be able to rate the buildings directly in the internet, and you will have a kind of a more transparent market, definitely, for that ground. I completely agree. Today, we are kind of given some kind of soft signals, and we need to interpret them, and that's making our job maybe a bit more difficult, sometimes maybe a bit more interesting as well, but we are here to interpret the soft signals, like if we see in an area some kind of new retailer which are trendy and so on, maybe that's the next good investment there is retail, and then next residential, and then after office. So real estate is of course not a science. Some would say it's an art, but definitely we lack data for today. And the more data we will have, probably the more professional we will be. Probably one incident or result will be more liquidity in the market, with perhaps more people taking position on one side or the other, so maybe more volatility as well.